Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're looking at games that began as DLC, expansions, or updates to existing titles before growing too big and becoming standalone.
Why'd you get in this business, you prick?
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Halo 3 ODST.
Pods. Now.
After Peter Jackson's Halo movie and its tie-in game were cancelled, Bungie found itself with a bit of free time. With part of the studio already working on Halo Reach, the decision was made to craft a smaller campaign that connected to Halo 3. However, the team chose to focus on a different protagonist, which meant all kinds of new elements, from tweaks in gameplay to the open-world environment of New Mombasa. Despite the campaign remaining relatively short, the project grew too big thanks to new additions and multiplayer modes. ODST was overall praised, though some took issue with it releasing at full price.
Stand by to adjust trajectory. On my mark.
What's he just say?
Mark.
Saints Row 4.
Didn't catch that, boss.
In 2012, an expansion for Saints Row III was announced, titled Enter the Dominatrix. It would have had players control a superpowered character trapped in an alien simulation. As many of you know, that's the premise of Saints Row 4. Developer Volition actually planned to make a fourth game while working on Dominatrix. But as its parent company and publisher THQ was going through financial problems, the decision was made to cancel that game and turn the planned expansion into a full release. THQ would file for bankruptcy before the game was finished.
I think we have a problem.
But Volition was purchased by Koch Media, which gave publishing rights to Deep Silver. Saints Row 4 released the same year to solid reviews.
Boom! Let's save me some popcorn this time.
Super Mario Galaxy 2. Mario's 3D adventures don't typically get direct sequels, with Super Mario Galaxy 2 being the exception. Well, turns out that wasn't meant to happen either. Nintendo originally planned to release Super Mario Galaxy More, an updated version of the first game with new power-ups and levels. Development time was planned to be a year, but the scope of Nintendo's ideas grew too large. The team decided to take these ideas and make a full-fledged sequel, and development time would stretch to 2.5 years because of it. Super Mario Galaxy 2 was well worth the effort, though, becoming one of the best games in the Mario franchise, let alone a 3D one. Skull and Bones.
And what good are your foolhardy ways, if they have left us stranded upon these shallows?
Ubisoft's Skull and Bones has had one of the longest development periods in modern memory.
It's time to stop.
The studio began work on the title in 2013, when it was planned to be an expansion for Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. However, seemingly because everyone and their mother loved that game's naval combat, Ubisoft decided to turn the expansion into a standalone pirate adventure. Unfortunately, that would prove to be a problematic decision. There were reportedly many internal struggles over what the game should be, and it suffered numerous delays because of it. Perhaps it would have been better off in its past life, as the long slog to its February 2024 release didn't drum up much excitement. Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
Hey, whoa. No need to go all Lone Ranger on my ass.
Following the release of Grand Theft Auto 3, Rockstar was on the top of the world. The game was such a huge success that the studio initially wanted to keep that train rolling. After releasing the PC version, the team then started working on additional content. According to producer Leslie Benzies, the plan was to create a mission pack with new vehicles, weapons, and, of course, missions. As was the case with many games on our list, the plans grew too big for a simple mission pack. Rockstar then pivoted, turning it into what would become Grand Theft Auto Vice City, which was just as well received as its predecessor.
This looks delicious, huh?
Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name.
次の仕事が入りました。コードネーム上流としてのね。
Sega's Like a Dragon series, formerly known as Yakuza, has a ton of entries both mainline and spin-off. 2023's The Man Who Erased His Name is set within 2020's Yakuza Like a Dragon. It looks at the events not from its new protagonist Ichiban's perspective, but from that of the franchise's main character, Kazuma Kiryu.
極道の世界に仇を巻き込む外道だ。
The developers initially thought to put a Kazuma-centric sequence in 2024's Infinite Wealth, but thought it would be more interesting as a separate experience. The story was then planned as DLC, before it grew a bit too large and became its own game. It's nowhere near as long as a mainline entry, and was thankfully sold at a slightly lower price because of it.
俺はどっちでも構わねえ。
Assassin's Creed Mirage.
And what did our friend want this time?
To strip the flesh from my bones?
With newer Assassin's Creed games receiving criticism for being too big and bloated, Ubisoft made 2023's Mirage significantly smaller. It was marketed as a return to the franchise's roots, but it was originally planned to be part of the problem. Set 10 years before his debut in Valhalla, the story follows Basim and how he became an assassin. Ubisoft envisioned it as an expansion pass to the 2020 game. Considering Valhalla got mountains of post-launch content across 2 years, we're kind of glad Basim's origin was allowed to stand on its own. With a campaign that takes around 15 hours to complete, it was better for it.
A new day, another test. I should get back.
Hollow Knight Silksong. Yes, we know it hasn't been released yet, but we do know that Hollow Knight Silksong A began as DLC, and B is planned to be larger than the first game, which was already pretty big. Team Cherry's 2017 original blew all expectations out of the water, and received several post-launch updates. Another was planned to follow Hornet, a supporting character and sort of antagonist. However, the team announced in 2019 that their work had grown too big, and that Silksong would be a standalone release. Cut to 2024, and we've gotten a ton of footage, but also a ton of delays, with still no confirmed date as of writing. Team Cherry is a pretty small studio, so we'll just have to be patient. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Following the success of The Last of Us Left Behind DLC, Naughty Dog thought it would do something similar with Uncharted 4. The Lost Legacy was intended to be around the same length as Left Behind. However, the studio decided to follow Chloe, who was absent from the fourth game, and the supportive character Nadine, who had only just been introduced in the series. This opened up new directions to go in, whereas Left Behind filled in the gaps of an existing story and therefore couldn't grow outside of its confines. Naturally, The Lost Legacy grew beyond DLC and became a smaller, standalone release.
We've gone nearly 100 kilometers with no sign of a sov.
Glass half full, maybe we got the jump on them.
Unlikely.
The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
We've been descending for a while now. These tunnels are deeper than I thought. What could be down here?
Though some liked to joke that Tears of the Kingdom was just Breath of the Wild DLC before launch, it did start out as such.
They're the same picture.
In a 2019 interview with Kotaku, longtime producer Eiji Aonuma stated DLC is great for adding content to an existing world, but not for really changing it. And so, when the team's new concepts grew beyond what was capable, they decided to create a sequel. As we'd find out, Tears of the Kingdom was an exceptionally creative game, with a world that bowed to your imagination, and it had 2 new maps in addition to an updated Hyrule. Know of any other games that started out as DLC or expansions?
I'm trying to keep the wolves from the door, so could you please cut me some slack?
Let us know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays for more great gaming videos every day.